Alright, so let's get started. As we go through this project, I'm just going to be walking you through what I'm doing and my reason for why I'm doing it that way. The first thing that we are doing is just cleaning everything out of the closet. We are not going to tackle the top half of the closet today, just the bottom section. So as we're bringing everything out of the closet, I'm not sorting it in any sort of way. We're just trying to get everything out so that we can clean out the bottom of the closet. This room is in the middle of a renovation. We just got done painting in here, so there's a lot of dust accumulated. It could use a good deep cleaning, but I'm going to wait until the end of the renovation to deep clean this room, because at this point it would just be a waste of my time. The first thing that's going back into the closet is this end table that wasn't being used in the living room anymore. It's going to serve as a shelf in the closet. So it's been in storage, so I'm just giving it a quick wipe down. Eventually this closet will too be renovated, so we are only using organizational items that we already owned and we're not putting to use anywhere else to complete this project. I'm also not a huge fan of this 4-drawer plastic organizer. I just feel that it looks cheap, but for now it will do. To start to tackle this giant mess, the first thing that I'm going to do is start sorting out the toys by type. So I'm putting blocks to one side and puzzles to the other. That way it makes it less overwhelming to look at. These puzzle containers right here each have a label on them with a color and the number of pieces in the puzzle, and then the puzzle that's inside of it has a swatch of the same color on the bottom of each piece. That little trick has made my life so much easier when it comes to picking up puzzle pieces. So the bag that you see in my hands now is a bag full of baby toys that I don't think that my son needs out anymore, so those will just be cleaned and put into storage along with the other toys my son has outgrown. So what I'm doing right now is just deciding if I want to keep the pamphlet that came inside the box of Connects that my son had got for Christmas, and I decided that I did want to keep it, but I'm going to throw away the box now that I've put the Connects in a storage bin. I wish that I had noticed sooner that I wasn't in frame, but what I'm doing right now is just sorting through my son's toys and dividing them into piles according to what they are. So for example, he has a lot of play tools, and so I'm putting all of those together, and then you see in my hands right here that he has a Mr. Potato Head that I'm just making sure has all the pieces together. I'm making one stack of board games, one stack of educational toys, and one stack of regular puzzles. This box in my hand is actually just a shoebox with some cutouts from boxes of Legos taped to it, and all of the corresponding Legos are inside. Eventually I want to get a separate plastic tote for that, but the shoebox works for now, so I decided I would just leave it. On the table in the closet, I put my son's multi-level garage that he drives his little cars on, and the box that I have over there with me is just some little parts that go with the garage, so I just set that on top of the garage, on top of the shelf. And now under the table, I'm just trying to piece together where different things are going to go. So what I'm putting under there are all his building block type toys, and then to the left, I'm putting some of his puzzles against the wall of the closet. This big Paw Patrol fire truck that I'm working with right now is new to my son. He just got it for Christmas and he's been very excited about it. So I'm trying to find a spot for it in the closet where he can easily get it in and out without having to move other things or make a mess. If you're having trouble deciding how to organize your child's toys, try to keep the toys that they play with the most the easiest to get to and in the front, and then from there sort them by type. So put, as best you can, all of the vehicles together, all of the blocks together, all of the educational toys together, and so on. Use whatever categories of toys your child has the most of, and if you keep them together, your child will know where to find them easier. I just emptied out all of the toys from my son's toy box to sort through. Right now I'm just picking through and taking some baby toys that I know my son has outgrown and taking them out of the room. At this point, I still keep all of the baby toys for a future child, so after this, all of the baby toys that I've accumulated in a pile, I'll give a good wash and sanitize too, and then I'll store them away in a large tote in our attic. Up until this point, my son had been doing a great job helping. He sorted out all his guys into that large drawer for the 4-drawer organizer that you just saw me put away. But now that I've emptied the toy box, he's noticing toys that he hasn't seen in quite some months because they were all shoved in the bottom of the toy box. So he got kind of excited and was doing a lot more playing than organizing at this point. What I'm helping him do in this clip is just sort the toys into piles. So in the toy box, he had a lot of vehicles, a lot of balls, and a lot of music instruments, and then also some dress ups. So we made individual piles for those toys. I decided I was going to put a few of the educational puzzles with the other puzzles instead of with the educational toys. So as I was sorting through some more toys on the floor, I found a lone puzzle piece, but thanks to my system, I was able to easily put it away with the puzzle that it belonged to. This giant roll of paper you see me putting away is actually newsprint. I don't know if every town does this, but the place where they print our local newspapers gets rid of the rolls when they get too low, so if you stop by they will just give you the ends of the rolls for free, which is great because my son loves having the giant sheets of paper to paint on. The bucket you just saw me put in the closet was all of my son's remote control cars. Before I put them away, I checked that they all had batteries in them and that the backs that cover the batteries were on. I did not, however, check to make sure they all worked. That will be my son's job the next time he wants to play with one. So what I'm using this last top drawer for is all of those odds and ends toys that we as parents probably wish that we could throw out. You know the kind of toys I'm talking about. So I just decided I would put all of those toys together into that final top drawer. And I just found another remote control car. Please tell me I'm not the only one who feels like my son has way too many remote control cars, but somehow we keep accumulating them. Right now I'm sorting out my son's magnet collection. Previously I had been keeping them in an old metal lunchbox. That worked out great because my son was able to play with the magnets and stick them on the lunchbox instead of running around our house looking for a place to stick them. However, the lunchbox has gotten pretty beat up at this point and it no longer closes, so I sorted the magnets out and I'm gonna look for a new place to keep them. The toys you see me cleaning and placing along the back wall are toys that my son has probably outgrown, but I'm not sure if he is still going to play with them, so I decided to leave them out for a couple of weeks and see how much use he gets out of them, and then make my decision whether I'm going to leave them out or put them away with the baby toys based on that. At this point I'm ready to start putting some toys back in the toy box. All the toys that belong in the toy box are now sorted by category. I'm going to start placing them back into the toy box, largest to smallest. That way my son will be able to see his large toys on the bottom and his small toys will be easily visible on the top. So the first thing I'm putting in are his cars, then his balls, and his dinosaurs. I was having a difficult time deciding what to do with Mr. Potato Head. First I tried to put him in a drawer and he wouldn't fit, and I didn't want him to go in the toy box because I didn't want to risk losing pieces in the bottom, and I ended up settling with just putting him on the shelf for now. big box of remote control cars, I ended up moving down with his building blocks because I needed to make room to put his toolbox on top of the plastic drawers. That is one of his most reach for toys, so it needed to be front and center. So we're getting towards the end of the project and I have 2 empty organizer bins left. One of them I'm going to use for the magnets, and the other one I'm going to put his transformers in because those are his favorite toy right now and I want to be able to keep them separate from the rest of his toy collection. Right now I'm bringing the board games that belong to my son out to the game cabinet we have in a different part of the house. So what I have right now are the magnets that I mentioned a little bit ago that I was going to be putting in the last organizational bin. And then what you're going to see me put back in the old lunchbox are toys that actually belong at my house. I can't remember if I mentioned this earlier in the video, but this is actually my son's playroom at his grandparents' house. Right now I'm just walking around picking up some odds and ends and putting them away. You see me putting marbles into a small container and then putting them into a drawer. That's a great strategy for those little bits and pieces that you need to keep but you don't have a good place for. Just off screen to the left is a kitchen center, and that's what you see me wiping down and cleaning right here. What you saw just fall off the shelf behind me was my son's tent and tent poles. That part of the tent is actually broken, but I couldn't quite bring myself to get rid of it this day. I was still hoping I would be able to fix it. And then the corresponding tunnel is tucked in next to the toy box because my son does use that quite a bit. This is it, guys. We finally reached the end. Look! This is what the closet looks like now that we're done. It's definitely not Pinterest worthy, but it is nice and organized, and hopefully my son will be able to get to all of his things without making a giant mess. Everything along the wall is probably going into storage, but it's there for now and it's out of the way. Thank you for watching. You can leave any questions you have for me in the comments section down below, and please don't forget to hit the subscribe button before you leave.